Hello ladies and gentlemen and all the core gamers out there, CAJman777 here, welcoming you to part 6 of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption 100% on Hypermode. Last time, we started making our way through Fiery Brio and unfortunately met a Phazon pool that forced us to further corrupt, now leaving our Hypermode state even more dangerous than it was before, which can ultimately, unfortunately for us, lead to a game over if we are not careful with how we manage our Hypermode. However, we can use the Hypermode to our advantage as well. We also encountered our friend Rundas, who, upon us meeting him, said nothing and just walked down this hallway right here, and I'm sure we're going to find him a couple rooms down this way. But before we get into that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our donators over there on Patreon: Valentine Blaze, MickeyPhorGens, MaddiLeigh, Eraisuithon Sotiri, Thomas, and Liotos the Lotus for their continued support to the channel. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us go into this first room. And something I found out, by the way, off camera, while I was waiting to save, I was going around just killing a bunch of enemies. You can actually just one-missile the lower-leveled hoppers, which I did not know. And I think that's actually kind of cool. So yeah, one missile will take them out. Raw fuel gel is pouring from the openings. Extreme cold could probably stop the flow. Unfortunately, we have nothing to stop the extreme cold flow of the raw fuel gel there, so I need to actually get rid of this enemy if I can very quickly. I'm actually going to have to jump across to kill it before I end up getting knocked into the fuel gel, which I wanted to avoid happening, but it just happened. I did get the other one, though, in one shot, which is great. I do have to wait, or else I do get knocked into the fuel gel here, which is... it's bad. You don't want to get knocked into the fuel gel there. It's very, very dangerous. Now, right in this room, we're going to see another new enemy. These are gel bugs. Gel bugs are very easy to kill. You shoot them once, and they hop off. You shoot them again, and they go boom. Unfortunately, this tunnel is aimed downward, so they are going to go boom while moving towards you. So don't move toward them when you're fighting the gel bugs. It's very dangerous, especially for you. And of course, we have now entered that massive room I was talking about. So let's see what's up in here. Of course, as you guys remember from the beginning of the game, that is a space pirate battleship. Something I found really cool, though, is that if you activate Hypermode here, and you actually destroy both of these ships, there are two. If you destroy both of these with one tank of Hypermode, you actually end up causing the cutscene early, which is really, really cool. Usually you have to fight 4 pirates and destroy one of the skiffs in order to move on. But by destroying both skiffs, you can activate the cutscene early, which is super, super helpful, especially for what's about to happen. Because obviously, that ice just doesn't come from anywhere in a place of fuel gel. It's gotta be our boy, Rundas. And sure enough, there he is. Now, I'm not gonna move. You know what? I'm just gonna look away. Unfortunately, that isn't Rundas anymore, ladies and gentlemen. So, do you know what that means? It means your third boss of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption is Rundas. Morphology: Rundas. Ice armor protects body, but could be ripped off if he was stunned. Phazon exposure has greatly enhanced Rundas and his ability to generate ice, making him deadly at range. His durable ice armor has one weak point: the neck. Serious physical stress can weaken and remove it, exposing Rundas to attack. This weak point can be cannot be seized as long as Rundas is active. He can create frozen objects at will, frozen ice blocks that'll throw at you. He can freeze you by shooting at you. It freezes you. It's like the Dark Beam. You just tap B, or tap B like the other Metroid Prime games to get free. It can freeze missiles mid-flight. Smaller ice-based projectiles that he has can shot down, but it's recommended to evade his larger attacks, such as his Ice Mace, which he does have, and it does nearly 2 energy tanks of damage on Hypermode, and I've died to it a couple times, as I'm not planning to die to it this time. Be advised, though, Rundas can also trigger a Hypermode state, elevating his threat level to match your own. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is the third boss. He is one of the 3 hunters that we were sent to track down, but because he's a pretty decently easy fight, it's not going to give you a really good chance to listen to his music. So I'm actually going to slow down the fight a little bit and not be able to absolutely annihilate him with Hypermode. That way you guys can enjoy the music. So as I get through this fight, kick back, relax, enjoy me fighting Rundas while you listen to his theme. It's absolutely amazing. You guys ready? And that is Rundas, ladies and gentlemen. Finish him off with Hypermode, because I'm invulnerable. As you can see, I use my corrupted state to my advantage as well. As for that, I have a couple theories. And so do a lot of people on the internet about that. I'll explain it once as Dark Samus's essence essentially takes Rundas and kind of just disappears, with us being able to do nothing. Some say that after being defeated by Samus in his corrupted state, Rundas broke free and realized what he had done and decided to take his own life. And that's pretty deep if you're thinking about Metroid lore, because Rundas really found Samus as a friend, and Samus also found Rundas as a friend. But another theory also circling out there is that he became so corrupted that once defeated by Samus, Dark Samus forced Rundas to end his own life. It's pretty brutal in however way you think about it, but because Rundas is now defeated, we are going to get his main attack, which, for this game, is going to be the Ice Missile. So, rest in peace, Rundas, my favorite of the 3 bounty hunters. You will be missed. What does this mean for the other hunters, though? Well, no one's really quite sure. It could mean a couple things for the other hunters. It could mean that they're corrupted still. It could also mean that we'll find them and they're fine. But as I, get a bunch of health pickups left to get my health back to full, we're going to hop down and go destroy this Eastern Energy signature here. And we get to show off what we can now do with the Ice Missile. And I'm sure all you guys are going to appreciate that as well, because the Ice Missile, really cool in this game. It's going to act like your Ice Beam and Dark Beam. Essentially, first off, with Fuel Gel, we can shoot missiles at the ground with the Fuel Gel. And it now creates a standable platform for us to use. Very cool. It's not all it can be used for, though. It can be used to freeze enemies in place as well, and I'm sure a lot of you people remember that as well. It's very, very efficient. Now, we are going to destroy this bug very quickly, and we are going to pump it up over here. Pump, 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 pump. Gotta pump it up, you know. Every time I get a chance to do that, by the way, you're gonna hear we pump it up. Because we got to pump it up. Now, we can also fuse the, we can also freeze these fuel gel waterfalls as well, allowing us to safely traverse other areas as well, which is very cool. Now, I'm going to activate this right now. But then I'm going to go over here. What hit me? You. Stupid enemy. Over here, we have some Brioian lore. So we're going to take an opportunity to read this. Look now to the time of battle. Tribe against tribe, see fertile land, swept clean of all living things by arcane nightmares, or the hellish blasts of science. See giant stone Mojinars do battle, destroying the land with their titanic blows, and hear the undying scream of a planet racked by darkest war. The battles waged endlessly, and the resources needed to sustain our war machines were great. Brio, too, had become a casualty of the war. The air was filled with the smoke of battle, and the soil soaked with the toxins of pollution. Calamity after calamity visited the folk of Brio until a world once known for wonders became a scarred husk under the stars. Only a small region remained habitable, and to it the survivors went, bringing the war with them. So if we head over here and scan this, we're going to see the shield generator. And that should also trigger a thing. Did it not trigger the thing? There it is.
Clearly, this is the source of the energy signature we detected. This generator is supplying power to the Leviathan's protective shield. You will be unable to destroy the generator with your current weapons. You must find a weapon capable of penetrating the generator's heavy armor.
Well, I think I've got an idea. So if we scan this, ladies and gentlemen, you may notice we are on the ship command visor, and that is something that looks like a missile. If we scan it, you says, gunship requires increased firepower for this command. What does this mean? Well, it means for the first time in any Metroid Prime game, your gunship is actually going to be getting some upgrades for this game, which I personally think is really cool, and it was a very well-deserved change for the Metroid Prime series itself, as your gunship never really had abilities like this before, which now that it's going to in this game, for example, what we just scanned actually there was the ship missile, which is actually what we're going to go get right now, believe it or not. We also are going to get a couple other things for the ship, but it's very cool that they finally decided, let's give the ship some upgrades. And of course, as we come into this room, we are going to be greeted by some hoppers. Now, fun fact, ice missile. Kind of broken. Like, and by kind of, I mean really. So, on Hypermode, the ice missile pretty much is going to be your best friend throughout this entire run. It's going to be able to freeze enemies in place, and then you can blast them apart with one charge beam shot. It is an absolutely super useful item, and I'm so glad that it's now an ice missile rather than the ice beam, which fired slow as all heck, like the Dark Beam and the Ice Beam from Metroid Prime 1 and 2. So now we get to go do a little bit of backtracking, and I'm going to freeze that pirate in place. Oh, yeah, it's his shield. Oh, his shield went bye-bye, and he exploded from the gel sack that just dropped on his head there. That was pretty cool. I wanted to freeze him and blast him, showing that you could do that. But you can now freeze these little things as well, which we are going to do as we need to cross over here to the other side, so we can blow up these other enemies and get across safely. Stop hitting me. That's very rude. I didn't ask for you to hit me. Now, I could go this way. If I were to freeze this up here. Good shot. If I were to freeze that, I would go right. But you guys recognize there was a statue just like that earlier in the game. Unfortunately, we are not actually going to use that statue because if we go back this way, as I jump into the fuel gel, if we go back this way, we're actually going to get a chance, and a very good chance at that, to pick up two more missile expansions, which we are going to need, obviously, because this isn't 100% run on Hypermode. But having more missiles is very good. So the first thing we actually have to do is go back into this room from the last episode where we took care of that little pipe. So once we take care of the little pipe there and come back to this room for the Rundas fight, we're going to create two little ice missile platforms that I missed. Okay, I need to get on that. which I missed, unfortunately. But we are going to get free missile expansion right here on the back side of Fiery Brio. And we do have to actually go back. So I am actually going to try and shoot a missile below me. It didn't work. Okay, you know what? Fine. Fine. Across the fuel gel the painful way. That really hurts, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. The fuel gel is not very nice to deal with. And you guys may know that there's a white shield on this door. We've seen a couple of these so far, but all I'm going to tell you is ice missile. As I shoot the door. So, yes, that is going to be an ice missile platform, and now we need to grapple onto this and do a little bit of a small little grapple swing across, which is going to be fine. Boop. Gonna hit the buttons, gonna swing across, and be ready to get another missile expansion here. This is actually gonna bring us to the main room, which I like to call a Foundry Room, and we can rip this grate off, which is gonna activate a little cutscene here that allows us to get back up to the far end of Brio, Fiery Brio, and it gives us another free missile expansion, which is great. You know how much I like my missile expansions. That should actually put us at a count of 45, which it does, and that is amazing. Now, we can actually exit Fiery Brio here, because we don't need to be here for a while. And I'm going to make sure I have a beam charge, because sometimes the little lizard likes to spawn in front of me. And he did actually just spawn behind me. Mean little lizard. He did actually just spawn behind me. Sometimes sometimes he'll spawn very far away. And of course, we're going to be met by some Brioian Shriek Bats. You know, they're pretty easy to deal with. Don't really need any threat for Brioian Shriek Bats. But right now, that is all we can do in Fiery Brio. And unfortunately, with Rundas' defeat, if you were actually to scan his ship right now, it will let you know that he is deceased. And we know how, at the hands of Samus Aran, stopping the corruption that he once attained. Unfortunately for him, we are never going to see Rundas again in this game. The corruption was too great, ladies and gentlemen. Rundas was he's my personal favorite character. I think he's a lot of everybody's personal favorite characters, and it's so sad to see him go early. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we actually do not have to go to the Thorn Jungle air dock yet. We actually need the ship missiles first before we can do anything in the Thorn Jungle air dock. So, what we have to do is, if you're following along with this game, or if you have it, you're going to want to head right back over to the Cliffside air dock. As we're going to get our transitional load right here going on. And as we land on the Cliffside air dock, I unfortunately am going to be all out of time for this episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. And in the next episode, we're going to get upgrades for our ship. And it's about dang time we finally got an upgrade for Samus's gunship after all these Prime games. Hopefully in Prime 4 they also do something very similar as well, where Samus's gunship gets some upgrades. I'd like to see that. Maybe have the gunship having a little more use than it does in this game. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode once again. And until then, this is CAJ Man 777 signing off. Stay safe, everybody.